Alright, hey everybody. Today we're going to be doing a review of the Sega Saturn Model 1 and the Model 2 controllers. Now there are some differences about these when they were released, so let's dive into this and start off with the Model 1. When the Sega Saturn was released in 1995, this was the initial controller that came with it in the US. This was not released in Japan with the initial first model Sega Saturn. As you can see, it's a very big, bulky controller. Feels kind of like a 6-button Genesis controller, but even bigger. It's hefty. It's got a very nice long cord. Ends with a big fat plug. Kind of feels like a Neo Geo plug. You've seen those before. So let's look at the layout here. You have your D-pad. Very comfortable. No sharp edges. Nothing like that. Even though it may look like it. There's no sharp edges. It fits very comfortably. Your hand doesn't slip out. That's my cat. Yes. So you have 6 buttons, A, B, C, in that order. It's very nice how they laid this out. It's very easy to to tell which button, which row of buttons you're pressing. And then there's your X, Y, and Z. You have your start button. You have your 2 trigger buttons. I'm not gonna lie, the trigger buttons feel kind of cheap, but it's an older controller, so you can expect that. At this point, they were still experimenting with controllers. Just look at the Atari Jaguar, which was kind of released later in the Saturn's lifespan, so that's another interesting experiment in controller design. But overall, this works very well. Over here, you have your Sega Saturn logo, very nice looking, and you have your Sega logo. Sorry about how everything is backwards. And then you also have, on the back here, you have 2 little molds for your hands. Fits very nicely. It's like that. Grip it very nicely. Unfortunately, these don't click on the front. May seem like they would, but they don't. They only click on the back, which is kind of a downfall to this controller. These are actually quite a bit more rare compared to the Model 2 controller, because I believe these were only sold for a year before they redesigned the Saturn, or a year or two. So over the 4-year or 3-year lifespan of the Saturn, those were sold for a small majority of it. You can pick those up easily on eBay too. I actually got this. I got 2 of these and Virtua Fighter Remix off of Shop Goodwill. Unfortunately, one of them didn't work, so I shot it with a gun and it kind of blew up. So, there's my cat. So here's the Model 2 controller. As you can see, slimmer, sleeker, kind of reminds you of the original Genesis controller, but this one's actually smaller. I do like the D-pad a lot more on this one. It's not as slippery or as straight plastic feeling as the Model 1. It's what it looks like up close. Kind of has a almost rubberized feel. The shoulder buttons are much better. They click anywhere that you touch them. It's got a very nice, easy click to it. D-pad is arguably the best D-pad that I've ever played with on any game console. This is fabulous for every single style of game, I'm not gonna lie. Flying games, shooting games, fighting, RPGs, platformers, stuff like that. It works excellent for it. Even driving games, stuff like that. But anyway, here's your Sega Saturn logo. There's no just Sega logo on the bottom, because they didn't do that like on the Model 1. So there's just a Sega Saturn logo, and then the actual words Sega Saturn. You have your start button, which is actually quite a bit easier to press than the Model 1. It's easier to get to as well. It's not as far away from the D-pad. It's not in the middle, so you have to go over like that. You just drop it down, press it like that. I do like the buttons more on the Model 2. Even though they give a rattle when you shake the controller if you're setting it down or picking it up. It feels like it's kind of flimsy, but it doesn't when you're playing. It feels excellent. So there's your A, B, and C, exactly like the old controller, and then your X, Y, and Z. But if you look closely, those little raised bumps on the controller, those are actually functions for the CD player. Those are actually included on the Model 1 as well, but they're not marked like they are on the Model 2. So, also up here, you have your fast forward and rewind, or next track, previous track, which is very nice and marked, unlike the Model 1. They did some refinement on the Model 2, that's what I'd put it as. It's not a completely different controller, it's different style. It feels different, it feels lighter, it feels more nimble and playable than the Model 1, but it's overall, I think, a better controller for playing games. But on the back here, you have 2 very nice molded grips that kind of settle down, so you can just fit your fingers in there. Then you have your Sega model number, stuff like that. And of course, you actually get less cord than the Model 1, but it still ends with that big fat plug, like, once again, the Neo Geo. But they both have substantial amount of cords. It's not like you need an extension cord like on the TurboGrafx 16, but there are extension cords available. So anyway, that's my overview and my review of the Sega Saturn Model 1 and the Model 2 controllers. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any thoughts on the different controllers, I know I didn't go through a lot of the other accessories like the Virtua Stick, the Virtua Racer, or the steering wheel, whatever you want to call it, the stunner, stuff like that, or the action stick, as some people would call it. But these are just the two controllers that came with the system. So anyway, leave a comment, leave your reaction, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and watch my other videos, like my crazy Halo Reach match, which I'll put right here. I'll put a link to that. There's a couple other videos that I'd like you guys to watch. Anyway, thank you again for subscribing and watching, and see you next time.